In this video, I'm going to show you how I made Jalapeno Popper Ice Cream. Hi there, my name is Carly and welcome to my channel, Adventures in Yum. Oh yes, you heard me correctly, I said Jalapeno Popper Ice Cream. Why would I do this to myself or others? Because I had a wacky idea and I just had to try it to see if it works. See, I had recently made my first jalapeno poppers and I was thinking about making some more to continue recipe testing them. And then for some reason, simultaneously, while thinking about that, I thought about jalapeno milk from the Impractical Jokers, which is where I think it was Q had to try to sell or like convince a group of people that jalapeno milk would be a great idea as something to sell at the grocery store. And so for some reason, I started thinking about jalapeno milk while thinking about the jalapeno poppers. And then in my head, I was like, well, yeah, you can like steep dairy, like you can like cook it on the stove with something in it and it'll like impart flavor into your dairy mixture. I've done that when making ice cream. That's interesting. So then I thought, well, what would it be like to make a jalapeno popper ice cream? And that's truthfully how this ice cream actually came to be a reality. I personally tried ghost pepper ice cream, but let me know in the comments below what kind of wacky ice cream flavors have you tried. Before we jump into making this ice cream, we're going to have a quick chat about how I created the concept for each ice cream component. My primary task when starting this particular adventure involved figuring out how the heck to bridge the gap between savory and sweet. Jalapeno poppers are typically made up of 3 basic components. Jalapenos, it's in the name, it's not a surprise. Cream cheese and or cheese mixture, and some kind of coating, usually either a crispy batter or bacon. Obviously, jalapenos are the star of the show, which is why I steeped jalapenos in the ice cream base. This technique allows the ice cream base to take on the flavor of whatever is being cooked in it. To ensure that the jalapenos remain the key ingredient, I also created a Jalapeno Compote. Compote is simply a fruit that has been cooked in a sugar syrup. So I treated the jalapenos like I would any other fruit with which I've made a compote. Next up, we have the cream cheese or cheese component. I decided to just go with the cream cheese part, so I made a simple cheesecake. I only added a teeny bit of vanilla to give it a hint of flavor, but not so much that it takes away that cream cheese flavor. I wanted that to stand out a little bit better than a typical cheesecake. And finally, I thought a breading coating would be a little too weird, so I went with bacon for the last piece of this strange, but hopefully tasty dessert puzzle. I decided to candy the bacon because not only would that help with bridging the gap between sweet and savory, but I also had never tried it before and I wanted to finally give it a try, so win-win. First, let's make the jalapeno ice cream custard base. To make the ice cream base, we're adding 3 cups of half and half and 1 cup of heavy whipping cream to a medium saucepan. Yet again, I didn't have 3 cups of half and half, so I substituted for a combo of 1 cup of half and 2 cups of whole milk. Just remember, as long as you end up with 4 cups of dairy and at least one of those cups is heavy whipping cream for richness, you'll be good to go. We're also adding 1 jalapeno with the seeds and ribs removed and 1 jalapeno that still has the seeds and ribs. We're placing the pan on the stove on a medium heat, stirring it occasionally while the mixture comes to a simmer. While the dairy mixture is heating on the stove, we're adding 1 cup of granulated sugar and 8 egg yolks to a medium-sized mixing bowl. Thoroughly whisk these ingredients together until they slightly lighten in color, about 1 to 2 minutes. It will go from a bright yellow to a pale yellow color. Once the dairy mixture comes to a simmer, we remove the pan from the stove and slowly add 1/3 to 1/2 of the dairy mixture to the egg mixture. Make sure to whisk constantly because you definitely do not want to scramble the egg yolks. Once 1/3 to 1/2 of the dairy mixture has been added, we're then going to whisk the remaining dairy mixture while adding the dairy and egg mixture back into the saucepan. We place the saucepan back on the stove over a low or medium-low heat and then whisk frequently while the mixture cooks. We're continuing to whisk and cook the mixture until it slightly thickens and coats the back of a spoon. We then pour the mixture into a large mixing bowl with a strainer placed on top. Next, we add this mixture to an airtight container and let it cool without the lid on for about 30 minutes. Then, securely put the lid on top and place it in the refrigerator for at least 12 hours. I recommend closer to 24 hours before we add it to our ice cream machine. Next, let's make the Jalapeno Compote. We start by whisking 2 tablespoons of granulated sugar, 2 tablespoons of brown sugar, and a 1/4 cup of water in a medium-sized saucepan. Place the pan on the stove on medium-high heat and bring that to a boil. While the mixture on the stove is brought to a boil, mix together 2 tablespoons of cornstarch, 2 tablespoons of granulated sugar, and 2 tablespoons of water. Once the mixture on the stove is brought to a boil, stir the secondary mixture into the saucepan on the stove and continue to whisk the mixture until it thickens and looks like a gel. Reduce to a medium-low heat and stir in 2 cups, about 6 jalapenos worth of brunoise jalapenos. A brunoise is a very small dice cut. Cook for approximately 20 minutes while stirring frequently. Remove from the heat and place in an airtight container with the lid off to let the compote cool for approximately 15 to 20 minutes. Then cover and place it in the refrigerator. Now we're making the cheesecake. To a large mixing bowl, add 2 8-ounce packages of room temperature cream cheese and 1 cup of granulated sugar. Using a handheld mixer, mix on a low speed until the ingredients are combined, and then mix on a medium-high speed until they are light and fluffy, approximately 5 minutes. Next, add 1 cup of sour cream and mix until well combined. Then, add 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract and 1 teaspoon of salt. Mix on a low speed until the mixture is well combined. Next, add 4 room temperature eggs one at a time and mix until each is just combined. Line a quarter sheet pan with aluminum foil and spray it with non-stick cooking spray. Pour the cheesecake batter onto the tray and bake the cheesecake for approximately 45 to 60 minutes or until the cheesecake is set in the center of the pan. Once the cheesecake is done, remove from the oven and set it aside to cool completely. And finally, let's make the candied bacon. We're starting by lining a baking sheet with aluminum foil and parchment paper. Spray the parchment paper with non-stick cooking spray and then lay about 1 pound or 10 to 12 pieces of bacon on the tray. You only need about 8 pieces, but I decided to make extra because my family and I had never tried candied bacon before, so we wanted to try it. We're lightly sprinkling about an 1/8 teaspoon of ground black pepper over the pieces of bacon. Then, sprinkle a 1/2 cup of brown sugar on top of the bacon pieces and press it into the bacon to make it stick a little bit better. We then flip the bacon over and once again sprinkle an 1/8 teaspoon of ground black pepper and then sprinkle 1/2 cup of brown sugar and press it into the bacon. Pop that in the oven and bake at 350 degrees for approximately 40 to 45 minutes or until it has completely browned. Make sure to flip the bacon halfway through. One thing I would change in the future is placing a cooling rack on top of the tray and the bacon on top of that. That way, as the bacon fat is rendered, it drips down and allows the bacon to get crispier because it's not just sitting in excess bacon fat. Once the bacon's done, make sure to transfer it to a separate piece of foil to cool. Before we finish the ice cream, make sure to hit that like button and click subscribe for more yummy adventures. Now that the custard has had time to set in the refrigerator and thickened, add it to your ice cream maker and let it process according to your particular ice cream maker's manufacturer's instructions. While the ice cream machine was doing its thing, it was very weird that the ice cream looked like vanilla but smelled like jalapenos. While the ice cream processes, make sure that the rest of the ingredients are ready to go. I chopped the candied bacon into little pieces and cut the cheesecake into cubes about 1/2 to 3/4 of an inch in size. Once the ice cream's done, add it to a large mixing bowl and then add the Jalapeno Compote, cheesecake pieces, and candied bacon. We give it a thorough mix and then place it in an airtight container and freeze for at least 2 to 3 hours to allow the ice cream to harden. This ice cream got very soft very quickly while I mixed everything together, so a lot of the pieces unfortunately sunk to the bottom, but it still worked. And now the moment of truth. Very interesting. You can see the jalapeno, you can see the bacon in there. It's kind of hard to figure out where actually the cheesecake is, but I'm going to try my best to get a bite with everything and let you know. This is the first time I'm trying it all together. I've only tried, I think, the candied bacon by itself because I had never had candied bacon before, so that was my first time trying that too. But yeah, let's give it a little try here and see how it tastes. I think I got some of everything. Got some of the peppers and yeah, all that stuff in there. So all right, cheers. It's so interesting. So the jalapeno ice cream is actually very subtle. It's more fragrant than actually having a lot of flavor to it. Yeah, there's like this, like, especially for me because I don't eat a ton of spicy food, there's like this teeny tiny hint of spice on like the very, very back end. You almost have to be looking for it for the actual like ice cream base part. But yeah, the jalapenos are pretty tender and they don't have like that bitterness that they can have. And they're not very spicy because I took out all the ribs and seeds. So surprisingly, I'm not mad at this ice cream flavor. I wasn't expecting it to work as much as it does. It is very strange because it is like you have all the flavors of a jalapeno popper, but kind of sweetified, if you would. If you're crazy enough to try this ice cream recipe, then you can also find the written version on my website, adventuresandyum.net, and that link will be in the description below. And of course, if you're interested in checking out some of the products that I used in this video, make sure to check out the description below for their Amazon links. Thank you so much for joining me today. I'll see you next time for another yummy adventure.